Good Thursday morning, Jerry Miller. Welcome to the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, presented by Barb and Keswick Vineyards. Phenomenal program lined up for you. We were spoiled this week at I Love CVille because we had the fairy godmother in studio yesterday with a phenomenal interview from the Thomas Jefferson Health District. And now I get to see the fairy godmother T-minus 22 hours later, and I'm very excited about that. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Why don't we go to the studio camera and welcome Barbara to the show. First, before we go anywhere, Barbara, in today's COVID landscape, we say we're 8 feet apart.
We are.
We're socially distancing right here.
We're doing a good job.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We had some fairly good news from the Board of Supervisors. How do you feel about it?
Well, I was going to ask you, and I was going to learn from you here for the next show. Here's my take. Did they determine really anything? I mean, they basically said we'll vote on it in early August.
We will vote August 5th.
August 5th.
Yes, we'll vote on it. So do we now wait for the governor again?
Or do we wait for the COVID cases to spike, which could influence?
With UVA, they want to see what everyone else is doing. Yeah, and so again, limbo with the schools and everything else.
The positive from it was a clear emphasis from the board about your sector with weddings. Let me get out of your way on that note.
We're still rolling, so yes, we are unclear about numbers, so we are, again, I think you'll hear from Mark a little bit on that. We'll be working on the numbers to be safe.
That's great.
And still doing what we're doing. And as the Virginia Department of Health told us yesterday, we're doing a good job. There have been no reports against the wedding and events industry.
How are your colleagues responding to yesterday's meeting? We're friends with Ray. Mm-hmm. Ray openly has said on social and to us, he was confused about the meeting. A lot of folks, I think, were confused of what happened, including myself. It was essentially a meeting to schedule another meeting and a vote. Is that what that was?
That's the way I took it, and I haven't had a lot of conversations, I think, because everyone's confused.
Everyone's like, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't that COVID world anyway?
That's COVID world. Is that local government anyway? I said that. Yeah. You didn't say that. I said that. You didn't say that.
I'll agree with that.
So we have, you seem positive then about the meeting. Are you uncertain or positive?
I think we can keep doing what we're doing for now and doing it well. And that is, if we keep doing that, that shows them what we can do to make our cities and counties safe.
What do you make of, Cindy Schoenberg's watching?
Hi, Cindy.
So why don't we ask Cindy, what did you make of the meeting yesterday with the Board of Supervisors? Anybody that's watching, what is your take? Ray Cadell, anyone that works in weddings?
Send us some comments.
Yeah, yes. Send us some comments. So what are you thinking here? Where do we go? What's on the horizon?
I welcome those comments. Like I said, we haven't had a lot of time. It's been a short time since everything came out yesterday afternoon. It was a 3-hour meeting. I'm sure I didn't watch the meeting. Some of our colleagues did, so I would like to hear from them.
I think you guys have done a tremendous job reaching out as an industry to the board.
Yes.
Because they clearly said in the meeting, and I watched part of it, and then I followed up, and the fabulous Gary Grant wrote a very thorough report for us for the meeting. It clearly said that that weddings and religious ceremonies, they could continue operating as is, and this was more focused for the restaurants and the bars. And we feel for the restaurants and bars.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're going from just being able to essentially go close to capacity now to being throttled back down again.
Right.
So potentially, we feel for them, but do you feel a little bit of relief, I guess?
A little bit, that we can make a wonderful day for our couples, somewhat of the vision. I mean, as much of the vision that we can. We can take the pictures. They are coming in and they are screening their guests as best as they can. on our side, our teams are screening their staff, and we are making a safe day for them, a safe and happy day. And it's a lot of work on us. It's already a stressful time. And I've said this before. We have double the stress now to make it a safe day. But kudos, everyone. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. You're getting props already. She's a popular lady. Becky Bishop Harlow says,
Becky.
I'm watching. Give the show a like and a share on any of these Facebook pages. Give Barbara some love. Johnny's watching. Cindy has a comment.
Please.
Should I relay that to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is from Cindy Schornberg, a leader in the space. She and Al, one of the pioneers locally. She says this, Barbara, I'm happy that they have separated weddings at venues into its own separate group versus being grouped into general public guidelines for gatherings. It sounds like they are taking gatherings back to 50 people and accepting business-run events. This gives our couples a little more hope to have their wedding. I see it as a positive thing. I saw it the same way for you guys in weddings, as she said.
Yeah. And it remains to be seen how many people are going to show up from your guest list.
Right.
Due to travel, due to,
Older
everything.
demographic.
Older demographic, yes. We talked about that yesterday as well. You want to keep Grandma and Grandpa safe and send them the video or have it live streamed. We're going to talk about live stream one day, too.
One of my buddies reached out to me this week, and I'll throw this to you. I'm not going to say who it is.
Yep.
We'll talk off air. But it was $1,000, a quote he got for live streaming his wedding for 40 minutes. $1,000, the team comes. This is not our team. We're not anything to do with it. He passed along the quote, $1,000 for 40 minutes.
Okay.
What do you make of that?
That's not bad.
That's not bad, right?
That's not bad.
Because a lot of folks forget the setup and the post-production. Mm-hmm. It's not just on site, right?
It's not just taking a video like your uncle does.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work.
Thank you.
It is a lot of
The
work.
photographers that are watching appreciate that.
And you have to have a good signal.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi is always an issue in the outer counties. So
She's totally right. You're getting more props. Sandra Gibson Galetly. She says,
Sandy.
I see you, my friend.
Hi, Sandy.
Becky is giving you a lot of props again. Give it a like, give it a share on any of these Facebook pages. All right, introduce our guests.
So, Mark Hahn has built the industry with us in Harvest Moon Catering. They are the gurus and do multiple events in a week and all throughout the week. They've built a tremendous space, new space in, Mark, you'll have to give us the address again. I'm forgetting the name of the street, but he'll tell us all about that.
The road parallel to 29,
Yes,
right?
behind
Kind of
Lowe's.
behind Lowe's.
Behind Lowe's,
Yeah.
yes.
And
And
Mark,
it's
I'm going to ask you this.
beautiful.
I think Berkmar?
Yeah.
Possibly.
No.
We'll ask Mark.
Berkmar, yeah.
That's one of them,
Berkmar,
Judah, for sure.
yes,
That's the fabulous
yes.
voice of Judah Wickower you hear right
Yes.
there. So,
He always knows.
Yeah, he always knows. And we all have seen him. I remember when they were there next to McGrady's and what is now the old 3-Notch on Preston Avenue.
And they
outgrew
in the dairy market.
In the dairy market.
They were
yeah.
there, yes.
Yeah, and they outgrew it. So Mark's going to join us. Who
Yes.
else, Barbara?
And then we will have Linsie Adderley with A&A Limo, and he has limos and cars and buses, and he will tell us his safety procedures right now and tell us a little bit about him.
Man,
Yep.
you're getting questions already. Are you ready for these?
Sure, let's try.
All right, Andy Wilfong.
Yeah,
Okay,
DJ.
Andy
Yep,
says,
DJ Andy.
help me understand, Barbara, are we in phase 2? What am I doing here?
No, we're in phase 3.
Yeah.
They talked about a 2.5.
A hybrid.
But we are still in phase 3, and they vote again, or they meet and vote August 5th. They want to get more information from UVA and the city. So they're dodging some information.
Chris
Yeah.
has this question for you. Barbara, did you get an answer about whether you can go to Northern Virginia or not to do a wedding? I do DJing, and I travel around Virginia. Can we do that?
That was just a question. I don't have one in Northern Virginia right now. What the question was, if I cross lines
And he says he does that.
Yes, so you want to call the health department in that area, find out what region that is, and say, these are the practices we're putting in place in our region. Is this what you are doing?
Cool.
So make sure that you're on the same page.
Okay. Christelle?
Yep.
Morning.
So you know.
Morning as always, Barb. You are wonderful and look beautiful. Amy Whalen
You guys
says,
are so good for me.
good morning, I'll tell you what, all we need to do at the I Love CVille Network is have the fairy godmother on set, and then the compliments coming in. Sarah Morris is watching. Amy Whalen says, good morning. A lot of folks excited for Mark. Should I reach out to Mark?
Yes.
Okay,
we're
I'm
ready.
gonna reach out to Mark. I'll do the pass over here to you, and then I'll
Okay.
turn it around.
Okay.
Judah, I am gonna Skype him now. Mark, if you're watching, we are reaching out to you, and we can't wait to talk to you, Mark. We're so very, very excited. Harvest Moon Catering, one of the, I think, iconisphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, icon.
Yeah.
So we have Mark on the line. Judah will give me a thumbs up before I can bring him on. All right, I am getting the thumbs up here from Judah. Mark, you are live for a heck of a lot of people. You started this show by the fabulous Barbara Lundgren, calling you an icon, and I called you a pioneer. I've said many times on this network that Harvest Moon has built this category, and you're going to deflect it because you're a modest and humble guy. We're here to counter that modesty and humility by being realistic of what you've done. You've had a huge impact. Before we talk shop, Mark, and I'll let Barbara talk shop, I ask the same question to everybody. Could you introduce yourself personally before we talk business of what you're all about, your passions, your hobbies, and your interests?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, Jerry. So my name is Mark Hahn. I am a native from New York City. Grew up in Jamaica, Queens. Went to University of Virginia in 1984. Had a long, illustrious career there. After some traveling about and looking for my home. My eyes opened back up, and I discovered that I had already found it here in Charlottesville. I returned probably 5 or 6 years later after graduation, and came back and settled down here in this town. And it's been a great experience. I love it.
Mark, when did you start the business, and tell us about your partners?
Well, I've got my business partner and I, Rob Gustafson, and we share some great similarities. We're born 2 weeks apart. Both went to the university at the same time. Both came back after a little stint away to finish up our degrees. Both sort of had stints in the food and beverage industry. And, we kind of ventured out into this concept of catering that was going to be surrounded around meal plans for the university. Sororities and fraternities is how we really started it.
Wow.
It really is. It's kind of it's a great kind of American story. We worked our butts off, and we are 25 years later, and short of a pandemic, things are great.
I think you told me one time some of those sororities and fraternities came back and said, hey, will you do my wedding? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I wish I was a better marketing guru back then. It obviously every student that goes on, they don't all get married, but a lot of them do. And many of them have come back, whether it was a relationship with me. I remember Sarah Kramer, who's a great wedding photographer in our industry. I actually was her sorority house cook when she was living in the house in 1999 or 2000. I don't remember exactly the year. But anyway, we have stayed friends through that whole period of time. I catered her wedding. And it's, some of those types of things that have kind of built foundationally the company and, just the relationships. And, as you know, Barbara, our industry is all about relationships. So
Absolutely. And you do build them well. You build them well. So tell us where you have been putting in the safety practices. We're in phase 3, and you said you have a couple of events coming up this weekend. What does that
Yep.
look like? And how, I know you were talking about making it pretty too, those safety
Well,
shields and things.
let's first, a lot of kudos to, first, I'll throw some kudos to my staff, have worked endlessly to kind of come together to rally around some really difficult, concepts, things that are kind of foreign to what we do, almost alienate the idea of gatherings, right? We're sort of almost separating people. We're actually not bringing them together, which is really what we're about. And our team's come up with some really solid internal mechanisms and protocols that we're being strict by. And where those are coming from, and the other kudos I'd like to throw out is to the chamber, who I think has done a really excellent job of putting forth the Project Rebound. I think they came up with a concept, a sort of a public relations mechanism that we're all able to use, and they've given us some really great guidelines. So, Elizabeth Cromwell and the rest of the chamber group, and I would encourage everybody to go look at Project Rebound, look at the reopening checklist, sort of see how they outline. I think we all know what we need to do, but this gives you a nice, really a real thorough checklist of how you can sort of reopen your business, know what things you need to do, and then utilize that public perception, which hopefully, again, we're all doing it internally as well, to really give confidence back to the consumer. And that's really what it's all about. Obviously, consumer confidence drives a lot of things, drives our economic reality, and we really want to use this to make sure people know we are adhering and as careful as we can be, as strict as we can be about these protocols.
Very good.
Yeah.
I know you're doing a great job. I want to circle back to you next week and find out how the weekend went, so we can report back,
Well,
if that's okay.
Well, okay. So, yeah, we're coming up on. We have been staying busy. We're actually, again. I've never done so much for so little, it seems like, but we're really staying busy and trying to create outside the box. First two weddings are coming up this weekend. Small wedding, we've partnered with 12 Ridges, which is a vineyard. Probably a lot of people know it because they've cut their Christmas tree down over that way in years past. They've just opened up in the last 2 years or so a wedding venue. It's beautiful, top of a mountain out by Stanton. And we're doing a small 41-person wedding there. I have to say the client sent, I wish I had it in front of me, they sent an email that echoed all of the things that we wish we could send out to every one of our clients. So on occasion, you get that client who is fully on board and still wants to have their wedding, right? A lot of people are like, I don't want a guy in a mask serving me my whatever. So they postpone. These people want to have a good time. They want to enjoy. They want to be safe. And man, when client and vendor pair up and are on the same page, it's really a great thing. And that's across the board, whether we're in a pandemic or not. But here we are at a really needy point in our careers to really work together. We know we have to be on the same page. Venue. This client really sent out they're going to have masks. They're making sure people are really feeling safe. We're abiding by our internal protocols. It's going to be a great event.
If we could all have that client.
The other,
Right, I know, that sounds like the dream client, Mark.
Yeah. I wish I could replicate them.
Yeah.
The other event is, just another wedding that we're doing. This one's a little more hand-holding. We're kind of guiding a little better. We're trying to make the person feel good about their choice, and of course there's a little patina off the dream, I think, of that dream wedding. When you understand what you're doing and under the circumstances. But our job, again, make sure these people have the best day possible. Make all of the things that sort of the masks and the plexiglass and the The gloves, unfortunately, they don't really come in skin color, so they're purple and black and blue, and they're unavoidable to
Whatever
see.
you can get your hands on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we want to make sure those disappear, and as always, that our staff, unfortunately, we always say smile. Unless we paint it on the mask, you don't get to
There's
see
a
that.
smile
But
under
my
this
team
mask, is what you.
yeah, exactly. But the team is ready. Everybody is. I'm super thrilled. My team is excited to come back. Some are a little nervous. They want. Again, my job. At the end of the day, everybody has to understand. I bring the most people to work at the event. Bar none. And just and I kind of control that environment for them ultimately on the front end. It is my job to make sure that my staff feels 100% comfortable, because I've had them tell me, if it's not safe, I'm walking. And I don't, they're not. I respect that. I
absolutely.
understand if it's not safe for them, if they don't feel comfortable. And it's not everybody. I mean, of course, we know that the entire country has some split emotions about all of this. But again, individual freedoms allow somebody to say, I need to be comfortable. And so that's my highest order of business, is to make sure that my staff knows that I've got their back. That's true, truthfully, again, non-pandemic world as well as pandemic world. But here we are in a scenario where their health is at risk and they're doing something that they just need that confidence. And so, again, we're taking temperatures, we're pre-screening both staff and guests as best we can. A lot of guests, they're not going to be wearing masks. So again, how do we stay distant, and still serve a past hors d'oeuvre? We've got, you can only have it, the 8-foot platter just doesn't exist. It feels sort of Monty Python-like of sort of serving this extendable platter with a crab cake on it. But anyway, we're going to do our best. And it's exciting to have, any event, anything going off right now is a boost of confidence for our industry. I think we all need a little something.
Amen.
And really, just to be clear, working so hard to protect and abide by the guidelines. That is just primary. And we would do it in any other circumstance, but we are doing it to a heightened degree under these circumstances. And I think we want people to know that. We want the public to know it. We want people to feel like we are not skirting or shirking our responsibility in any way, shape, or form. We are 100% on board and understand what we are facing as a country and as a community. And we feel pretty lucky that our community has some fairly low-level caseloads, and we want to keep it that way. And we don't want to be the person that says, "Oh, I had a wedding and super spread, 50 people got COVID." That's just not good for anybody.
We can't let that happen. I know you've been a tremendous mentor to many, many people, many in the industry. Who was yours?
Well, it's always somebody who's come before you, whether they are big, little, or whatnot. And it would be really unfair of me to not say that, watching Carl and Tori Tremaglio from Festive Fair, and really they really did do similar. They ran a restaurant, they had an event catering business, and they ran a rental company. And at one point, they made a choice to go over and open Festive Fair, and they did that really well. And really, in a way, when they made that decision and pivoted, they left a little hole in the market, was really well. Oregano Joe's.
Wow, forgot about them.
If we want to, Blue Moon Diner, we were running our catering business. We were managing the Hack and Saw Boys, and we were cooking for, probably close to 1,000 meals a week for 14 sorority houses. And then we started a rental business as well. So, they laid some groundwork, showed us how it could be done. They probably got a little smarter and shrunk it down to one thing. And I've kind of kept it. I've kind of stayed vertical with rentals and catering, and they have always been somebody I've looked up to.
Let me throw this to you, Mark.
Please.
You're killing this interview, Mark. You have a lot of people watching you. What was your life like when you had Blue Moon Diner, managing the Hackensaw Boys? You were doing catering. I mean, serial entrepreneur. It sounds like right there. What was your life like then?
Very chaotic, and to be honest, I was having a good time. I was a young lad who was enjoying his life, and I'll throw another kudos out to Jerry Danner. Hey, I hope he's been healthy. I know he had some health issues. Jerry Danner, he was a crazy character, but he had some ethical beliefs about food safety. He always bragged about getting the best health reports. When I worked at the Blue Moon Diner for Jerry when I was in school in 1986, 87, he laid some groundwork for me as well as far as how things get done. An incredibly creative guy. And so, I sort of bought that diner. It was kind of the romantic vision of, hey, college boy comes home, buys the local diner, and builds a business around it. And, but it was chaotic. I remember, talking to clients from the Dirty Bird, out in California. We're touring, and I've got I had a big wedding at Ashlaw, and it was like 280 people, and talking to the client from this, bus with 12 guys in a bluegrass band, and, we're rolling around, and then I'm flying back to execute the wedding, and, I had a lot of energy back then. I've pared down my ways. I often talk about kind of cleaning the whiteboard and figuring out what I really wanted to focus on. And when I chose that direction of focusing on catering, things really flourished. And it was the best choice, but I wouldn't trade any of those days in at all. They were a lot of fun.
What does the Blue Moon Diner mean to you, Mark? How hard was it to let go of the Blue Moon Diner? What's it mean to you? We love what Laura's doing. Mark, we hope to God the Blue Moon Diner continues. I mean, incredible place, so many memories for all of us. Just go down that road for us.
Jerry, did Laura tell you to ask that question?
She did not, but I love that place, and I love Laura, Mark.
Yeah, I do. So, I mean, 19, I'm a 20-year-old kid. I'm figuring my way out at the University of Virginia. I'm not really sure what I'm looking to do, but I wander down Main Street, and I sit on I had to be by myself, but I wander down Main Street, and I sit on the counter. I sit at the counter, and it's an if you get it, if it's your spot, it's instant. Yeah. You can be there alone, and you are with everyone, and you can still be alone, or you can be engaged with everybody. I remember Jerry. I basically started the night business. So the diner was only a daytime. At the time Jerry owned it, we were only open until 2 or 3 o'clock. And Jerry wanted to open up on Friday and Saturday nights, and he handed me the keys and said, "You're going to run Friday night."
No way, dude! So you're a young guy who likes to party, likes food, likes drink, and likes good music, and you get the keys to the Blue Moon Diner?
Jerry, did you say likes to party? Let's leave all that.
Mark.
Absolutely. I'm a Wahoo.
Me too, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, Jerry, it was, oh yeah, Jerry, you're Jerry too. Jerry gave me the keys, kind of the keys to the castle in a way at that age. But yeah, I had, it was, it's me and a waitress. At that time, it was a young lady named Alex Ball, Alex O'Brien, one of my really close friends. We're still friends today, lives in town here with her husband, Kevin, who's one of my closest friends. Yeah, every Friday night, and we had the Friday night crew. I mean, we had the same people. They were the nacho crowd, and they came in every night, and they would get nachos. And it was this group of about 8 to 10 people. I still see them around town today.
This is a marketing ploy on Jerry's part.
No, this is so good, Mark. People are loving this.
Jerry, the owner,
Jerry
knew what was going to happen with your group of friends, right?
Yeah.
It's
so
great.
Anyway, it was just one of those things, and anyway, it was just It was awesome. You know, we built it. And that's when people started really. I think Jerry thought maybe, you know, I think the students were coming down already, but it started to happen a little bit more. And, you know, that Friday night tradition is then what turned into the Hackensaw Boys. You know, so the Hackensaw Boys, they had done a couple of gigs. They were played at Miller's officially first, you know, but Blue Moon became the home. And on Friday nights, I don't know if you remember, Jerry, if you were around or if you were there, but I mean, we talk about a 12-piece bluegrass band. First of all, that should fill the diner up right away. But there you have a 12-piece band with a guy on spoons, a guy on a washboard. You know, they're growing. It's like it's like an amoeba. You know, they just sort of kept growing. So one guy grabs a set of spoons and jumps into the band. Anyway, the place was packed, and it was spilled out into the streets. And, you know, that kind of Friday night tradition just always sort of, was one of those things. It has now, as you know, turned into sort of Thursday nights with Jim, or Jim's on Wednesdays. I can't remember, Thursdays or Wednesdays. He was there with us, Jim Wave, and has stayed on with Laura. And, you know, that place, it was the hardest thing. When I decided to close it, and I closed it very quickly in about a week's time, I said, I'm done. I have been beaten by, you know, it was the employee thing. And I just looked at my partner. I said, we can do better with catering alone. Let's just close this thing. But the one thing I could not do was I could not convert the building to a catering, like really full-on catering. Like I kept saying, we cannot tear down the tile. We cannot tear down the tile. And of course, you remember the hospital green, seafoam green tile. And we cannot do it because I had this vision that somehow it would come back. And that's when Laura and Rice, I had catered their wedding, by the way. It was an awesome affair over at Jefferson Vineyards. And then I actually connected them with my friend Laura Jones out at a restaurant called Magnus in Wisconsin, and they ended up working there. When they came back, we had hatched the idea of reopening the diner, and we partnered for about 4 years. And honestly, there was some rough goes there, but the truth is I kind of felt like I stewarded the diner on to the next person. And Laura and Rice obviously really adapted the same feelings that I did, and Claw and Jim Wave and the same community and Midtown, the Midtown Festival. I mean, they've just kind of extended what was already, you know, really you go back to Buzzy White and you really go back to the Perkins family in 1959 when they opened the waffle shop back in the day. But anyway, I could go on and on about Blue Moon.
I'm getting a lot of history.
This is literally one of the best interviews we've done. Let's go long. We can go long on the show for the second guest because he's doing so good.
A lot of history. So much history.
A lot of, well, I tell you, it's funny because when Tom Perkins, who owned the building, his dad owned Perkins, it was Perkins Motors. And of course, right next door was Roy Haney. So that was Haney. So there was a little run of, auto shops right there. And Roy Haney turned, obviously the ABC store went in after some years and he built his building. But Tom would come in at around 9 o'clock and he would always come and visit and, we'd throw back a couple of beers and we'd talk some smack. But he would always share the stories of his youth with me and talk about Charlottesville in the 50s and hot rodding and his brothers and all the different things that went on. And it's funny, I kind of feel like it's interesting now as you get to be a little older.
Yeah, you're that guy, Mark.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary. It's like I've got some stories that I'm sharing. It's really really cool to talk about it. And yeah, all of this stuff really has made my experience in this town just, a really great experience. And it is why my company, I believe, has adapted a very community-centered vibe. We really want to support this community. We want it to thrive. It's why I sit on the advisory board of TomTom, because I believe that's a community effort that we should support. And I just believe there's a lot of great things here. And I'm a big fan of the town. I used to love your sports show when you did that, Jerry.
Thank you.
Back in, really missed that day as well.
Thank you. This has been a
we're,
phenomenal
We're a
interview.
big fan of yours,
Yeah.
so we see you everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you have questions?
I do.
coming
We
in
have
for
questions
it?
coming
Yeah?
in. How about this question for you, Mark? A lot of business owners watch this program, a lot of small business owners. How about the concept of all of us as entrepreneurs being jack of all trades, master of none, and then once you realize what you're really good at, how you can really take off? That's a difficult concept to grasp for us entrepreneurs that see opportunity everywhere, Mark.
Well, there's do you know Hope Rana? So Hope had invited me over to, is it C3?
The coffee and conversation.
Yeah. So over at the Darden School, and truthfully, just like this, we're off the cuff. I can talk a blue streak. That is for sure. But anyway. The long and short of it was that one of the things I was asked to come in, talk about my business from the entrepreneurial spirit, and I just sort of I have no idea what I was really going to talk about, and I kind of went to that point. A really good friend of mine, his name is Lem Oppenheimer. He runs Easy Star Records. You should get him on your show. He's a great guy. His stepfather, Bo Sachs, was the founder of High Times Magazine.
Wow.
And Bo comes in, and we're talking. And actually, I had to remind him of this at the Paramount about 8 months ago. And I explained to him, I said, you talked to me about the whiteboard. And you shared with me this concept of putting the things on a whiteboard that you do, and really looking and deciding, what do you do and what do you do well? And what's your life like? And how much better would you be if you eliminated some of those things off the board and really focused? And I really took that advice to heart, and it really was the thing that started to turn my attention towards focusing on the catering aspect of our business. And even the beauty of catering is there's a million things inside the box of catering. So, I don't feel like I'm focused on fortunately, because I'm a little ADHD.
Me too.
I think you have to be in this business.
Right, you have to be.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
So, it's multitasking all the time. It's doing lots of things. And then, you build you start a little bit of a rental division, and you build vertically, and you're doing different things, and you're connected to this community. You're supporting the Paramount and the Fralin, and you're doing a lot of things that really, and they all get, you give back, it gives right back to you. I mean, it's that it's
very
just
true.
It's really, really, really fun. And anyway, I don't even know if I answered.
Oh, you
the question.
did. You did. You were great, Mark. You're killing this.
We'll have to have him back.
We have to. Yeah.
Maybe after the August 5th vote, we'll have you back. We'll see where we are then. Yeah.
Well, let's hope they vote the right way. Let's just hope they, I was
We're always
reading
hopeful.
a text. I was reading a text the other day, and it was funny. And I don't want to out the text thread, but somebody had mentioned this idea of, again, people were upset. They were like, oh, we're going to have to. This was a group of other entrepreneurs. We're going to have to abide by these guidelines, but the wineries and the breweries and the events, they can just have at it. So I start to respond in the text thread, and I decide, I just decided I wasn't going to. But I will say this: if it isn't understood, I lost 100% of my business on March 16th. 100%. Everything I had on the book, gone. I don't know who people think are running to these venues and these events to have these 200. People are aware. 200. Nobody wants to have a 200-person wedding right now.
No.
It's just not happening. Yes, we're allowed to. Sure, that's what the guidelines say. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I'm seeing people, 87, 88% of my business has postponed to 2020. Well, some people live now on their third postponements, second and thirds. But thankfully, they're sticking with it. They're reimagining, they're eloping, and then having a celebration. They're doing all these things. But I just want to be clear. The catering industry is not absorbing phase 3 and rolling around in the money because everybody's running to King to do a 200-person wedding. People are nervous. Clients aren't sure. It's not their dream event. The general understanding within our community and what we are putting back out there is 200 people isn't really safe. We kind of know that. So we understand it's shrinking a little bit. I think reverting back to 50 sounds, is also a little bit of an economic killer too. We're all balancing those two things. We understand safety and health, and boy, do we understand the economic hardship.
Amen, brother. Yeah. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Rock in a hard place. I think that's why they wrote that saying.
And it's not, and this is important to emphasize, it's not a zero-sum game. Just because we're small business owners and we're mindful of the small business economy does not mean we're not mindful of people's health. It's not on one side. We're doing both.
We
like
are
this
doing
Venn
both.
diagram, you know?
Absolutely, we are. Yeah.
Well, I'll share. I won't out the text thread, but I will share again. And the people on this text thread, Jerry. I've never seen. I'll out it a little. The restaurant community, they are so vigilant. They are taking a beating from I guess the term is the Karens and the people who are a little entitled. They're taking a beating on their reviews, but they have been, everything I read is incredibly vigilant to safety. They'd rather not open. They really, I haven't seen a single mention of, again, that's within this thread, of wanting to do anything other than the exact right thing by the guidelines and as safe as possible. And truthfully, at many times, advancing the guidelines to be safer than what they actually are. So I just think our community really understands it. I think we could always be better because we know we still are seeing a little uptick. So again, we can just ask people to be kind to each other and really, know that the only way through this is really to, do what the basic guidelines are and hopefully we come together as a community and we get through this.
Patience and the golden rule.
Amen.
Here we go.
We got to get this guy back.
Yep, we will.
Yeah, Mark, you killed it here. We have another guest we got to get.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to slide this over, Mark. You are absolutely phenomenal. I am so grateful for this opportunity to connect with you. I hope to talk to you soon, Mark.
Okay, Jerry.
Take care,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Mark, Harvest Moon Catering, phenomenal.
Yep. He's great.
You knew that.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
That was going to be good. So
I didn't know we were going to get a history lesson, but I loved it.
Oh my gosh, I love that stuff.
I know.
I love to learn about the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love what you're doing with your show.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. It's sometimes it's by accident, but it's fun.
You're a connected lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know a lot of people.
I have a lot of friends.
Should we reach out to Lindsay?
Please.
Okay.
Yes.
J-Dubs.
Ready for Lindsay.
Her show's killing it today. Let's go. Do you have time to go long?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We're going to reach out to Lindsay here, and we're doing the old, you know what, I'm going to invest into some Apple earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
That
Okay.
are wireless.
Yeah, okay.
Because you and I are doing this. I'm going to put
Okay.
Lindsay here, Judah. I got her on the line coming up. Lindsay, we're going to go to you here in a matter of moments. Before we do, let me get the heads up from Judah. You, my friend, have a tremendous reputation in this community. We're excited to spotlight you. Before we go, and Judah, we have him on the line. Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. Before we talk shop, and I'm going to let Barbara talk shop with you, the fairy godmother.
Okay.
How about an introduction, sir, to you personally? Passions, hobbies, interests, what you're all about, sir?
Okay, so I moved here from Charlotte. I moved here from the Bahamas in '98, where I grew up. And so I'm not local to Charlottesville area. I moved here with my wife and son. I moved here with my wife and son, who at the time was 1 year old. And so moving here was different in that this is the first time I've lived anywhere other than the Bahamas.
And how did you choose Charlottesville?
Okay. So my wife moved here because she moved here for work. She's
Okay.
originally from upstate in New York area, and she had worked in the Bahamas for about 6 years before she moved here. And she moved here for work. So I also came here, and I was looking for work at the time. At the time, I was a police officer in the Bahamas prior to moving here to Charlottesville. And so naturally, I went and did the same thing here in Charlottesville as a police officer before I started in my business.
That's how you run a tight ship. Now I know more about you. Okay. So how long have you been in business, and how did you choose this business?
Okay. So I started in business back in 2005, and it's kind of funny how I got into it because I didn't have any natural business background. I mean, I had managed some apartments that I owned, rental apartments, but it wasn't, all my life I had done police work, so that's what I was comfortable with. But, at the time we had a son who was 1 year old when I moved here, and he had grown up some, and then my wife had twins, which was naturally a shocker for us. And working as a police officer, not hitting Charlottesville in terms of get paid the officers, but I didn't find that feasible to be able to raise a family on at that time. So it kind of forced my hand to do something different, in terms of what do I do to go out and be able to earn a higher living, be able to support my family. And so, I took a week off from working at, back in 2005. I went to the Bahamas. I'm like, I got to find something different, and it was more of a thinking as to what am I going to do? How do I increase my earnings? And so I got there and I, I'd ordered a limo service to pick me up at the airport, take me to my son's godparents' house. I was going to stay with them, use one of their vehicles. It was kind of funny. I got in the back of the limo, and the first thing that came to mind is I was like, how many limo services are there in Charlottesville? And it naturally clicked by the time I, just from the ride to the airport to my son's godparents' house as to what I was going to do, because I knew there at the time there was like 2 or 3 companies in Charlottesville area that were limo service, and I was aware of that because I did policing in Charlottesville. And so by the time I got to my son's godparents' house, I went straight to the computer. I typed up my resignation letter, faxed it back to Charlottesville. I'm like, I've got to get out there and do something and find something, and this is what I choose. And it's been, very rewarding from that point forward. And that, it took a lot of work to build the business, but one of the things I learned in terms of doing it is the relationships along the way, and that's what's been really important for me.
Lindsay is one of the vendors that I'm very choosy about who I work with in terms of communication.
Sure.
If you're not responding,
you're out.
Yeah, I tell my clients this: we have to have clear communication and prompt communication. And he even, he's on vacation and he's still answering me. I'm going, oh, I'm sorry I bothered you. Don't worry. He's just that guy. He is that guy. And your fleet has grown to what? What do we have in your fleet?
Good question.
So I started out initially with about 2 or 3 vehicles, and I started out in my home at the time. And it was kind of funny because, within 2 years, I was up to about 11 vehicles, and I'm like, I got to get out of my home. The county is starting to crack down because I lived in Grain, and they're like, you got too many vehicles.
Wait, Lindsay, you had 11 vehicles at your house?
Yes.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I did.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately, I did. And, the county, I was living in Grain at the time, and it's funny because the time that they came by my house on a day, and, I had I had left home and called my wife and said, hey, I left a vehicle out in the road. Can you move it? So they came by the house and they came by the house and there was a vehicle sitting in the road with the engine running, the doors all open, and so the next thing I know, I got a call on the phone and they're like, you got to do something with this. So I bought an office over here on Berkmar Drive in Charlottesville in 2007, and I've been here ever since.
Very good. It's a nice facility there. So tell us about your safety practices, what you're doing about cleanliness, numbers of people in the buses. That's been a huge concern for my clients.
Everybody.
Like, how are we going to use our buses? Yeah.
So right now, in terms of what's going on, and it's funny to see how this year has happened. This year, January, February, and midway through March was the busiest year I've had in the 15 years that I've been doing this in terms of numbers. Usually January and February are the slower months of the year, but this year has been the busiest. And I always say, anytime you get comfortable, watch out, because by the third week of March, everything just went haywire, and we had all these cancellations, all these rebookings, and that has calmed down some now, and now we're back to operating, but we're nowhere near the numbers that we would have been at this time if prior to this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, in terms of the things that we are doing, normally a lot of emphasis would go on cleaning vehicles anyway. Right now, we're focusing more on construction and use of defaulters. I had a wedding this weekend. Initially in terms of information, getting it out to the brides and to the planners of what we want to do, is we're asking that all the guests wear masks. We're providing masks on the bus. If anyone needs them, there's hand sanitizers. Drivers are using hand sanitizers and masks. And you're just doing those things just to make sure that customers and the drivers and employees, everybody is safe and remain safe. Because, you want to do your part so nobody gets sick, by utilizing your facilities.
Yep. Part of the team.
Yeah.
Part of the team.
Lindsay,
Right.
throw this question to you. How did you manage? So, a lot of small business owners watch this show. We're entrepreneurs here on the set. What was going through your mind in March? I remember when March was happening, as a business owner with people that count on me, I was terrified. I was scared for a week. I was like, what are we going to do? And then I'm like, you know what? We're going to figure this out. I'm curious of your take, how you did it.
So, like I said, end of the year, all the way through the first month, so I didn't really catch on to what happened until that third week of March. All those phone calls not coming in, all those emails. So you're initially overwhelmed by it. But, I've always said I operate best when I'm out of my comfort zone. And people like comfort. I never really liked 100% comfort, because I always think something's going to fall, something's going to happen. And so once you get over the initial shock of it and you realize that, hey, you're going to be okay anyways, and that took about 3 weeks to a month. But there was nothing going on in that phase other than you basically rescheduling events, because a lot of weddings on the first half moved to the second half. Now those weddings are moving into next year. And we don't do just wedding transportation. We do a lot of airport, a lot of business travel. So there's a mixture of events. But all those things, basically from the third week of March almost to the end of June, cancel out or move to the second half. And now they're moving into next year. Unfortunately, like I said, when you come to that realization that this is actually going to work, you're going to be okay. You get over the shock and you just deal with it. And so that's been rewarding, in that you can actually realize that and be able to adjust to it and adapt to it.
Another reason I choose you so many times is because the drivers are pleasant. There's, they smile, they're polite.
They're like
and,
Lindsay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I know with that, you are mentoring your staff. And so
Yes.
tell me about your mentor.
It's like I said, it's kind of funny in terms of going into this. my hand was, like I said, more forced into going into business because I had to do something to increase my earning potential. Because even though I enjoy police work, and they just left right to raise, twins, and then I had an older child at the time also, and it's so funny because people don't realize sometimes how much daycare actually costs. You know, having to pay more than three-quarters of the salary almost for childcare as a police officer just wasn't cutting it. When I got out there, I didn't really have a mentor per se, but the companies that were in town, I inquired a lot about from them what they were doing, how they were doing it. And sometimes, it's funny because sometimes you're doing something up to cold calling, and sometimes you straight up accent. But it's funny to see now that over years in business, the relationships you develop because now we speak daily. Even though some people may say, "Hey, they are competitors," I don't really look at them as competitors. We're all in this together. We all need
Sometimes
each
you have
other.
to help each other out with
Rising
those
tide's good for all
buses.
ships.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times customers don't even know that I'm on the phone with those owners just about every day,
Mhm.
or with event planners or customers, and you just build those relationships over time. And so when people call on me now, whether it's someone new coming into the business, or if, for example, another company wants something, we all call on each other. And so we basically mentoring each other without using the word.
Right. It's a natural thing.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
What percentage of your business, can I ask you this question, Lindsay? What percentage of your business is back in comparison to, say, this time last year?
Right now, we're still not close to 50%. And and in terms of business, the third week of June is when things start to pick back up again. And then we've done some weddings
I
this
know it's
part year. They're more on the smaller end where we have done, probably two buses, which is less than 100 people for a wedding. It's nowhere near where we would have been prior to this pandemic. So, prior to this, it's funny. I would be pulling a little hair out that I do have. Because your floors would be constantly going, and it's just so much going on. And usually, like on a Friday, Saturday, we have 3 or 4 big weddings going on at this time of the year. But right now, those numbers are just not there.
What is your favorite thing to do on your day off?
So,
What do the twins do?
prior to this pandemic, growing up around the ocean, one of the things I love is being around the ocean. I love fishing. I love anything to do with the water. But moving here to Virginia, it's kind of funny. You're kind of in the middle of, sometimes I call it the middle of nowhere. There's no ocean nearby. And I'm someone who loves clear blue water. So I'm, in terms of going to Virginia, people are like, I'm not going to swim in that water. I want to see
Yeah.
what's coming after me. I'm not going to get in
Yeah.
there. But yeah, so I love the ocean. I love fishing. As a business owner, you don't always get the time off. You find that you work hours in your own business, and if you are working for someone,
And not the time of year you want either.
yeah, yeah, you don't have the time of year that you want off.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm off, I get out of town.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I love to travel. I would get out of town and do things with my family.
I know.
Like all of the kids always playing ball, for the school. They're doing travel ball. So that's something some get out of town. But if
So,
you're at
go
home,
ahead and stop.
you get a phone call and the next thing you ask office working. I get out of town and do things like that.
Great.
We're having a tough time, Lindsay, here with the audio. So why don't we do this?
Okay.
We'll try to get you back on the show.
Yep. We'll try to do that.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
We really do appreciate this. And I enjoy working with you so much and learning more about you today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Sorry about the audio. We did miss a few things, but we're going to try to run it back.
Thank
Okay.
you, Lindsay.
All right,
And
thank
Judah will
you.
go to studio here for us. Lindsay, thank you for joining us on the show. We certainly appreciate it. What do you make? I love the interviews. You have a good day. I love the interviews today. What do you think of Mark?
Mark is that energy.
Right?
I mean, and he doesn't run out. He doesn't run out. He sent me a little note. He wanted us to mention, which I was not aware of, Harvest at Home. They're doing delivery and pickup. So we could help them out with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just go to hmcatering.com and help them out that way. But a lot of the caterers are doing that. So not just the restaurants, but the caterers as well.
You got comments coming in.
Okay.
So Dave Warwick is the brewmaster.
Hi,
and
Dave.
A friend of the
Yeah.
show of Three Notch Brewing Company.
Yep. I haven't met him in person yet.
He's
but
a phenomenal
yeah,
human
yeah.
being. Dave, you're a phenomenal human being. He says, Mark is a first-class guy and one of the very
Agreed.
hardest working folks in town. Incredible work ethic. That's from Dave Warwick at Three Notch. Andy Peterson, I agree, one of the best bosses out there. Ray Cadell, nobody, and in all caps, nobody feeds my band better at a gig than Harvest Moon Catering.
That's true. That's true.
I love it. And more of these comments coming in here. I love what you're doing with the show. Lisa says, hi, Barb. It's Lisa in Tampa, Florida.
Lisa, every
Mark,
week.
shout
She's
out
with
to
me
you.
every week.
You have 5 states watching you
Oh,
right now.
and we've had people watching from Ecuador and Albania. Do you know that?
Albania?
Uh-huh.
I don't know where Albania. Do you know where Albania is?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know where Albania is? All right. Here's
yeah.
the reality, Barbara. I know 3 things really well. Okay, I know branding and advertising, real estate, and communication. Outside of that, I stink at a lot of stuff. Okay, that's pretty much. Albania's watching the show.
Maybe not today, but they have.
Is that Western Europe? Is that where Albania is?
Eastern, yeah.
Eastern Europe is Albania. Andy Wilfong has this message for you.
Hi, Andy.
This show consistently gets better every time you go live. I have not missed a single episode
Bless your
this
heart.
month with Barbara Lundgren. Good job, and thanks for the hard work.
Thank you, Andy.
So Ray wants your take on board of supervisors.
Well,
In fact, you have a lot of people asking for it. We can't say much, right?
no, I mean we're in limbo with that. They are waiting for their input from the city and UVA. Aren't we always waiting on UVA?
We're always waiting. It seems like in 2020 we are,
Yep.
right?
Yep. It's really hard. Really hard.
Oh, man.
I wish I had answers. We're trying to get answers. I think that's part of our program here
Yeah.
is to get the answers. And I welcome anyone who wants to chat and dig. I would love to dig some more.
Have you noticed, and maybe this has always been the case, have you noticed you're becoming the sounding board or the go-to for this?
I get some thank yous every
Yeah.
now and again.
I get
So I'm happy to help with that. I
So
mean,
folks are asking, what are we
it's
going to be
fun.
planning for your show moving forward to help us understand what Almaro is doing? We're playing the waiting game, guys.
We are.
Till August 5th.
We are.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people have been calling the Board of Supervisors. They make their own calls. They send me that information back. I can't be on the phone all day. I mean, I spent a lot of time with the health department, and that was consuming a lot of time. So what you can do and then get to me, that's a lot of help. Email, whatever. So get back to me.
You want to hear from some of your friends?
Sure.
Lisa Watson, giving you love.
Hi, Lisa.
Lynette Lockhart, Stan Spencer, Jennifer Herndon, Donna Rowland, Donna Spencer.
Wow.
Sandra Galetly, Ray Severin, Cynthia Hurst, Gail Page, George Cook, Becky Harlow, Paul McDaniel, Jen Ferriello, Carol Green, Elizabeth
It's,
Craddock. I could
all over
spend
the
an
place.
hour on the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase relaying the people that love Barbara Lundgren. Andre Xavier.
All the industry and high school and friends all over the place.
How about a plug for Andre?
Andre's going to come on the show.
Right?
Yes.
Next week. How
Yes.
come?
Next week. Did I say next week? Let's
Next
see.
week or the following week?
I'm going blank, but
Okay.
yes.
He's coming on
Yes,
soon.
he's coming on soon.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to
Yes.
have Andre
He's
Xavier
going to make a little announcement for us.
on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about what you got coming from the Wool Factory?
The Wool Factory and Andre. I think that's next week.
I think
yes.
that's next week,
Yes.
too.
Yeah. That's what we said yesterday.
That's what we
Sorry.
said yesterday.
There's a lot going on in this head.
There is a lot going in my head, too. So the Wool Factory...
It comes to me at 2 a.m.
Same. When do you sleep?
2 a.m.
Do you go to sleep at 2?
No, I go to sleep around midnight, and then I wake up at 2 a.m.
Okay.
every night.
When do you wake up from sleep altogether?
Depends on when I go to sleep after 2 a.m.
Okay, so you don't need much sleep.
It's all over the place.
I don't need much sleep
It's all over the place. T-shirt.
I have more questions
there's a
for
lot.
you.
Oh, okay. Go with the questions.
More questions.
All right.
Folks are asking, what is the Wool Factory?
The Wool Factory is a new event venue and restaurant down in the Woolen Mills. I did a lot of growing up down at the Woolen Mills.
You did? Is that where you grew up?
Well, on the outskirts. I was on Long Street. I grew up on Long Street.
Okay.
So my friends were down at the Woolen Mills.
Did you get into some trouble in the Woolen Mills?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Were you a
maybe.
mischievous person growing up?
Not as much as my friends.
Can someone agree or disagree with that statement? Put it in the
They're
feed.
on there. They're on there.
They'll
Yeah,
let you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
Barb.
yeah.
So the Wool Factory, folks don't know about. They want to know. So we'll find
Yeah,
out next week. But
we
how
will
about a
find
teaser
out.
from you?
It's a tremendous.
It's beautiful.
And you were going to a wedding? You were going to go to a wedding there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually,
and some
our
changes
guests-
were made.
Our
Yeah,
guests that you
yeah.
have coming,
Claire,
their wedding.
Claire's
Claire's wedding.
Yes, so they're making some changes. But there are a lot of spaces in there. It's very creatively done, and it's beautiful. So look it up online and then watch.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're a joy to do this program with.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed with your guests. Mark was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mark's the bomb.
Donna Madison Spencer says, Barbara.
Look out.
We
She
disagree with
was
that.
down at Woolen Mills.
We know the truth, Barbara Lundgren.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that. That's what
Yeah.
Donna Spencer just said.
Leave it at that,
We're
Donna.
going to leave it at that. How about the T-shirt?
Okay, the T-shirt. So
This is
I had a couple of T-shirts.
Okay.
There was one on hold for the Board of Supervisors. It wasn't necessary.
What was the...
Oh, we might have to save it, Jerry.
Okay,
we
we
might
save it
have
for
to
August
save it. But
5th?
because there was so much on this, I'll read it. So there's a lot of positive on this. I am. So this is for all of us.
This is for your T-shirt?
Yeah, this is
Well, how
on my
about this?
T-shirt.
Judah, if she stands up so people can see it.
No,
you
no,
wanna
I'm
see
going to
it?
read it.
Okay.
It's too much. I am alive.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody claim this, okay? I am worthy. I am determined. I'm original. I am beautiful. This is a big one. I'm grateful, okay? I am wonderful. I am free. I am thoughtful. I am kind. We've been talking about that a lot the last 2 days. This one's in question. I am balanced.
You're balanced.
I don't know
You're
about that.
balanced. Come on.
Most of all, I am blessed. That one's right here.
Yeah, I mean, you have a ton of family.
Yeah,
The cousins visited yesterday.
Oh my gosh, yes, we had a great time.
Yeah.
Yep.
In
Mm-hmm.
the grand scheme of things, and Sue Martin, welcome to the show. In the grand scheme of things, we know this is an incredibly challenging and difficult time, but in the grand scheme of things, we are blessed.
We're blessed. We haven't, my family is happy, healthy.
We're above the
Yep,
mud.
we're above the mud.
We live in America.
Right,
We're blessed.
Did you treat Judah? Judah, did you get out for?
Oh, he got cold beers.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
Cold beers
good.
and then some yesterday,
Yes,
right?
yes.
On the clock.
Good.
Judah's like, yeah, all right, Jerry, all right.
We were cut off yesterday in the storm. That was fun.
Yeah, so we had Barbara on the show yesterday,
Yeah.
and the show was stopped mid-show because of the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Did you have any damage at your house?
No, thankfully not. We got some much needed rain, but
Did you see the tree falls?
Yeah,
Crazy,
we
right?
did. Yeah, we just got the rain, thankfully, because we've had some pretty big storms lately, and lost a trampoline, lost a couple trees,
Barbara
things like that.
Lundgren jumps out of trampoline?
No, she doesn't.
Oh.
This was my son's trampoline.
Okay.
But they lost
Okay.
the trampoline.
I would
but-
pay to see you jump on a trampoline.
No, that's not going to happen,
That's not
Jerry.
going to happen. You are a joy. She is Barbara Lundgren. She is of Barb Wired. This is her show, the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, where she is just spotlighting the wonderful, 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 caring, and kind people in this community, and she's doing a tremendous job. We also would like to give some love to Keswick Vineyards.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cindy. And Cindy has been working on the Board of Supervisors. So, yeah.
What an
and,
asset
Yeah,
with
we talk
Cindy.
a lot. We
Yeah.
talk a lot. And thank you for supporting the show. So
We
thank
love
you.
the Schoenberg family guys
Absolutely.
here.
Get out and drink some wine.
Yeah, is that what
Yeah.
you're going to do?
No, at Keswick Vineyards, but
Okay.
I mean, no. I mean, I haven't been lately, but I hope to. But everyone should go out there and visit safely. They do it right.
What are you doing this
They
weekend?
do it right.
You partying in Woolen Mills?
No, I don't know. I haven't really made any plans this weekend. More yard work. There's always yard work. And I have another surprise for you on Wednesday
Ooh.
when we
Touch base on the show?
when we touch base on Wednesday.
Okay.
I'll have a surprise for you.
So,
on the farm.
You spill the beans?
Nope.
Oh, it's a surprise?
It's a surprise.
Okay.
And it's but it'll be on the farm.
You ladies love surprises. You know,
Yeah.
my wife who's
Keep
watching,
you on your toes,
my wife
Jerry.
who's watching right now says, Jerry, more surprises
We're-
for me, please.
we're going
Why do
to-
the ladies love surprises so much?
I don't know. We have to keep you on your toes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Judah, we're going to have to return the favor with a surprise for Barbara after she surprises us on Wednesday. And Judah's like, I have a surprise ready to go already. Is that what you're saying?
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. It
was a fun show.
Yeah, it has been fun.
This is the
Thank
Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase presented by Barb Wired and undoubtedly powered by Keswick Vineyards. Two phenomenal brands, and I'll tell you, anybody that's watching the program, guys, get out there, support the folks that need the support, do it safely, wear a mask, do it 8 feet apart, but support the folks, guys. We need it in this community. We will see you next Thursday at 10:15 on the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. Take care, guys.
Adios.
Mark was amazing.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, we could have spent an hour with it.
We really could have. Yeah. The stories. We need more stories.
Right. J-Dubs, good job.